What number, guys? Anything else on 89?
Negative. No.
No? All right, 80, that was a surface area problem?
Oh, 5.
5. On 89?
Yeah.
Okay.
5 on 90. I thought we were on 90.
Ah, okay. All right, so 14. 89.14. Whoops. What we're going to do, we're going to draw this. It says find the total surface area, so not just the lateral surface area. Okay, so let me do my best here. I'm going to do a little dotted line there. Kind of messed up there, but looks like a funny looking piece of pizza, right? Okay, so this is 10, this is 8, and then the radius is 3. So that means the diameter is 6. Ooh, it's a 6, 8, 10. That's a nice triangle. Okay, so what we want to do is find the total surface area. The best way to do that is going to be able to consider this as badly drawn. That's not much better. A triangular prism and a half cylinder. I would say ignore that line. Okay, a triangular prism and a half cylinder. So what we're going to do, we'll cut it in half, right down the middle there. Not the middle, I'm sorry, but you get what I'm trying to say, I hope. So again, what we're finding the surface area of there is just half of a cylinder. Okay, and we're not including that because that part would not be exposed, right? So we just want to find the top and the bottom. What would those make together? A circle. 2 half circles would form a whole circle. So we've got the area equals, what's the area formula for a circle? Pi r squared, and we have pi times, r is 3, so pi times 9. Okay, so that's the top and bottom total. We can call that 9 pi. Pi times 9 is 9 pi, thanks to the commutative property of multiplication. Okay, then we're going to add the outer shell. The outer shell. So remember, the area of that's got to be the area of a rectangle. So, let me go.
R times 8.
Bless you. As it also says that it's 10 meters tall, so I left that part out. So,
R times 8.
pi r h. Okay, well, let's think about that for just a minute. The area here would be length times width, we could call it, right? So the width is like this squiggly line. If we uncurve that, it's going to be a rectangle, right? So let's think about that for just a minute. Luke, hang on, bud. Okay? So I want to make sure everybody understands it as good as you. Okay? So this is what we're talking about. That is what is wrapped around the half of the cylinder. Okay? So we got to think, well, how long is the length? Well, it's half the circumference. So what's the circumference? Circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. So half of that would just be 2 pi r divided by 2, which is just pi r. In this case, the radius is 3, so it's going to be 3 pi. So the area would be 10 times 3 pi, or 30 pi. So what do you think 9 pi and 30 pi combine to make?
39.
39 pi. Okay. So I have the area part of the cylinder. Whoops, cylinder. Can't spell it. That would be 39 pi. And if you want to type that in the calculator, we'll do that part at the end. So I've got the entire half cylinder. I can put half here too, I guess, to make sure I don't forget. Area of the half cylinder is 39 pi. What's left? It's a triangular prism. Okay? So the triangular prism, you want me to get a different color out? I'll do that to help us.
Purple.
I don't have purple, but we'll make blue work. So now I have the area of the triangles. Why? Because there's two. There's one on top and one on bottom. So there would be 2 of those. And then what's the area of each one?
42. Well, 21, because we have to divide.
Base times height divided by 2, right? Base times height divided by 2. So 8 times 6 divided by 2, like that. We're going to get 48. The last thing, well, there's two things actually. So I've got to find the area of that face. Is that going to be the same as the area of the face on the back?
Maybe.
No.
The dimensions of this face are
Shorter.
10 and 8,
Okay.
or 80. So there's 80, and I am running out of color, so I do apologize. 80. I'm running out of space.
Not the same.
They're not the same because the dimensions of this back face are 10 times 10. So the area remaining is 10 times 10, or 100. All right, I don't have a color for that one, so it's just going to have to
Make it orange.
stay. I have more oranges, don't I?
Make it yellow.
All right. What do we do with all of this?
Make it yellow.
We add it all up. So I have 100 plus 80, that's 180, plus 48, that's 228.
228 plus 89 pi.
Okay, 228 plus 39 pi. I might not give you one quite this
Get it.
bad, but never say never. Might be extra credit. Okay, so we're going to type it in. We're going to say 39 pi. Oh, that's 39 pi, right? Well, then we've got the decimal approximation, and then we're going to add 228. What do we get? 350.5. That sounds good to me. Meters squared. So there's a lot of steps there, so you would only have probably one of those on your test, okay?
Is it going to be worth like 5 points?
Depends on the rest of the test.
What questions are there?
I don't know yet. It's going to be shorter than the review that I gave you, though. Probably about half that length.
Can we do Thursday? Are we doing
We're doing it in class today. All right. So, anybody want it? Here you go.
Thanks.
ABC. Oh, okay. I forgot. Now we got to do lesson 90. ABC and fiber was 5 on 89. What's at the top? Okay, ABC 5. I got to be careful doing that. So lesson 90 was about algebraic sentences, right? Taking words and phrases, making them into algebraic sentences. Yeah, sure. So it says 5 more than the product of 6 and a number is 21. 5 more than the product. What's the product mean to do? So 6 and a number would be 6n is equals 21. So now let's just kind of take it one step further. Instead of more than, we can put 5. What's more than tell us to do? Add 5 plus 6n equals 21. But to stay consistent with what I've said about less than, it might make more sense if you were to write this as 6n plus 5 equals 21. Now, why are they both okay?
Because
The commutative property of addition says order doesn't matter. Okay. Letter B, 4 more than, okay, so something plus 4, the product of 9 and a number. 4 more than, so I added 4, the product of 9 and a number. So what's the product of the 9 and a number? 9n, if you put x, that's fine, is negative 77. Equals negative 77. Then it says, what is the number? So this is a 2-step equation. How do we solve it? We get rid of the constant first. What's the constant that we need to move?
4.
The 4. How do I get rid of a plus 4?
Minus
Subtract
4.
it from both sides.
All right, I'm going to move it to the other side via or through subtraction. The reason this is okay to do is because I treated both sides fairly. So I've got 9n equals negative 81. Now I'm going to deal with the 9. What role is the 9 playing?
Divide it by
Because
negative
it's
81.
with the
I'm going to divide it, but what's the name for what the 9 is doing right now?
coefficient.
It's a coefficient. Luke, on the money. So I'm going to divide because a coefficient is multiplying. I'm going to divide on both sides. That's fair, right?
N equals
Negative.
-9.
You did it.
Okay, C, 5 less than the product of 5 and a number. 5 less than means something minus 5. 5 less than means something minus 5, and it says that is -55. 5 less than the product of 5 and a number.
5N.
5n. So again, 5 less than means you always start with something and take 5 away from it. Here the order does matter, so we have to do it in this order. Okay? So is everybody clear on more than? It's okay to do either order, but less than, that's subtraction, so the order does matter there. All right, same thing. They're going to ask us for the number. So how do we solve that the rest of the way? What's the constant in letter C that we need to move?
5.
The -5, okay? Technically, if you said -55 was a constant, you'd also be correct. But here's the big picture. You want to get all your constants together when you solve these. And the way to do that is to move that one over. Because at the end of the day, we want n by itself. So that's going to cancel out. I'll be left with 5n, because I didn't do anything with it, equals -50. And then we'll divide by 5. We'll divide by the coefficient. We'll get n equals -10.
I understand that. That's just understand.
Number 5 also has the same thing here. Number 5a, the sum of 3 times a number and -11. So sum means we're going to add 3 times a number will just be 3n and -11. You could put -11 in the parentheses if you wanted to, but that's all we've got to do. It says the sum, so we're going to add. 5b, the product of -5 and the sum of a number and the opposite of 2. Ooh. Okay, so when they do it this way, this is really unfair because they're not being very obvious about what order you should do this in. So I'm going to read this carefully. The product of, so it means I'm going to multiply, -5, so I'm going to put that one first, and the sum of a number, so the product of -5 and the sum. So what they're saying is -5 times a sum, which means I have to do the sum first. I have to use parentheses. Okay? Again, let me make sure you hear this correctly. The product of -5, so I'm multiplying -5, and the sum, because the sum is the next word, I have to put sum, so I'm going to add there. A number and the opposite of 2. What's the opposite of 2? Negative. Oh, that's not so bad. If you want to stick that in another parentheses, you can, but it doesn't really matter. Last one. The product of the opposite of 3. Okay, the opposite of 3, there it is. It said the product, so I'm going to multiply. The product of the opposite of 3 and the difference. So the product of a number and a difference. I've got to put another parentheses there because it wants me to calculate the difference, then multiply. Okay? A number and 4. N minus 4. Okay, so in Algebra 1, you're going to learn how to simplify these further. You might already know to some degree, but getting that, understanding that, I add in this position to represent what's happening between these values. Okay? A lot of people say, why do we have to use this? You'll see why when we start graphing these and making word problems out of them, okay? So, does this help a little bit? We're going to do some of these in our practice, okay? Do you guys want whiteboards, or do you just want to do it on in your notebooks?
Whiteboards.
I mean, you'll be able to look back at your notebooks. So just
Whiteboard.
Yeah,
okay.
like 3 pages.
All right. So I need some volunteers to grab some whiteboards and another volunteer to grab some markers and hand those out for me.